Urgent December payments. What Social Security recipients need to know right now. For millions of Americans who rely on Social Security, the final days of December are critical. Money is arriving, payment dates are shifting, and if you're not prepared, it's easy to become confused, or worse, to mismanage your budget at the start of the new year. Right now, there are two key payment dates every recipient needs to understand: December 24th and December 31st. These are not random deposits. They follow specific Social Security rules, and they affect retirees, people with disabilities, and SSI recipients differently. At the same time, a 2.8% cost of living increase officially begins in January 2026, changing monthly benefit amounts. Some people will see that increase sooner than expected, while others may not notice it until later. Adding to the confusion are headlines about proposed benefit increases, possible stimulus checks, and new legislation affecting taxes on Social Security. Some of these ideas are real proposals, others are still uncertain, and separating fact from speculation has never been more important. This video series is designed to do exactly that. We will explain who is getting paid this week, why certain payments arrive early, how the COLA increase actually works, and what changes are confirmed versus merely proposed. Most importantly, this breakdown is about helping you plan with clarity, not stress, so you know exactly what money is coming, when it's coming, and what you should not count on yet. Who gets paid on December 24th, the final Social Security wave of the year? Let's begin with the first critical date, December 24th. For many Social Security recipients, this is not just another deposit. It is the final regular Social Security payment of the year. According to the official Social Security payment calendar, if you were born between the 21st and the 31st of any month, your December benefit is scheduled to arrive on Wednesday, December 24th, which also happens to be Christmas Eve. This payment applies to people receiving Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security disability insurance, or SSDI. If you fall into this birth date group and you have been waiting for your December check, this is the one. Now, it's important to understand what this payment is and what it is not. This is not an early January payment. It is not a bonus, and it does not include the January cost of living increase. It is simply the last regularly scheduled Social Security payment for December. For many seniors, this timing matters. December often brings extra expenses, holiday travel, gifts for family, higher utility bills, and end-of-year costs. Knowing exactly when this final check arrives allows you to plan carefully without guessing or worrying that something went wrong. If you do not receive your payment on December 24th and you were born between the 21st and 31st, that's when it's appropriate to start checking your account and, if needed, contacting Social Security. In the next part, we'll shift focus to SSI recipients and explain why some people are receiving two payments in December and why one of them is actually for January. SSI recipients, why December comes with two payments. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, December can feel confusing, especially if you see two payments show up in the same month. Let's slow this down and explain exactly what's happening. Under normal circumstances, SSI is paid on the first day of each month, but Social Security does not issue payments on weekends or federal holidays. And in this case, January 1st, 2026 falls on New Year's Day, which is a federal holiday. Because of that, the Social Security Administration moves the January SSI payment earlier. So here's how it plays out. SSI recipients already received their December payment on December 1st. Then, the January 2026 SSI payment is sent early, arriving on December 31st. That means two deposits in December, but this is not extra money. The December 31st payment is simply your January check paid early. This detail is extremely important for budgeting. If you're not aware of this rule, it's easy to think something went wrong in January when no SSI payment arrives. In reality, your January money already came at the end of December. There is also one important piece of good news: that December 31st SSI payment includes the new 2.8% cost of living increase, which officially starts in January. In other words, SSI recipients see the COLA boost a day early. In the next part, we'll focus on that 2.8% COLA increase, what it really adds to your monthly check, and why many experts say it still falls short of rising costs. The 2.8% COLA increase, what it adds and why it's controversial. Starting in January 2026, Social Security benefits will increase by 2.8% due to the annual cost of living adjustment commonly known as COLA. On paper, this sounds like good news, but for many seniors, the real question is simple. Is it enough? According to the Social Security Administration, the average monthly increase from this 2.8% COLA is about $56 per month. That amount applies across Social Security retirement, SSDI, and SSI benefits. For some households, an extra $50 or $60 can help cover part of a utility bill or a prescription refill. Every dollar matters when you're living on a fixed income. However, many experts argue that this increase still falls short of reality. Why? Because the formula used to calculate COLA does not reflect what seniors actually spend their money on. Right now, COLA is based on a metric called CPIW, which tracks spending for younger, working Americans. It gives significant weight to transportation and employment-related costs, expenses that matter far less to retirees. What seniors spend more on, rent, groceries, prescriptions, medical care, and utilities, is underrepresented in that calculation. As a result, many analysts say a 2.8% increase does not keep up with real-world inflation for older Americans. That's why this year's COLA has sparked renewed debate in Washington. In the next part, we'll explain the growing push to change how COLA is calculated, including the proposed switch to a different formula designed specifically for seniors, and what that change could mean for your monthly income. CPIW versus CPIE. The fight over how COLA is calculated. To understand why so many seniors are frustrated with the 2.8% COLA, we need to talk about how that number is calculated. Right now, Social Security uses a formula called CPIW, short for the Consumer Price Index, for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That's a long name, but the problem is simple. CPIW is designed to track spending for younger, working Americans, not retirees. It places heavy weight on things like commuting costs, work-related transportation, and job-based expenses. At the same time, it gives less importance to the items seniors spend the most money on every single month. Things like rent or housing costs, groceries, prescription medications, medical care, utilities. This mismatch is why many retirees feel their Social Security checks lose purchasing power year after year, even when COLA increases are announced. Because of this, lawmakers and advocacy groups have pushed for an alternative formula called CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. CPIE focuses specifically on how older Americans spend their money. Analysts estimate that if CPIE were used instead of CPIW, COLA increases could be significantly higher, often adding $300 to $500 more per year for the average beneficiary. That difference can mean fewer skipped prescriptions, more stable housing, or simply less stress at the grocery store. However, switching formulas is not simple. It requires congressional approval, and it comes with long-term cost implications for the Social Security system. In the next part, we'll move from COLA calculations to new proposals making headlines, including a temporary $200 monthly increase and why experts say it faces serious obstacles. The proposed $200 monthly boost, what it is and why it's uncertain. Alongside the COLA debate, another proposal has been making headlines, an idea to add an extra $200 per month to Social Security benefits. At first glance, that sounds significant. An additional $200 each month would mean $200 over 6 months, which could help seniors cover groceries, utilities, or medical costs during a difficult period. This proposal is being pushed by several Democratic leaders in Congress, who describe it as a temporary response to what they call an affordability crisis facing seniors and people with disabilities. However, it's important to separate proposal from reality. This increase is not permanent. It is designed to last only 6 months, and more importantly, it faces serious political obstacles. The current administration has publicly dismissed the idea of an affordability crisis, calling it exaggerated. Because of that, most analysts believe this proposal has a very low chance of passing Congress in its current form. Even some supporters acknowledge that a temporary increase does not solve the long-term problem. Many point to earlier proposals, such as those that included a permanent increase and a switch to CPIE, as more meaningful solutions that never gained enough support. So while it's important to be aware of this $200 proposal, it's equally important not to plan around it. Nothing has been approved, nothing is guaranteed, and no payment dates have been set. In the next part, we'll look at legislation that is already passed, including changes affecting how Social Security benefits are taxed and why that matters for most recipients right now. What has passed? Changes to Social Security taxes. Explained. Amid all the proposals and debates, it's important to pause and focus on something that is not speculation, something that has already passed. Recently, the administration confirmed changes affecting how Social Security benefits are taxed, and for many seniors, this is one of the most meaningful updates right now. Under the new legislation, around 80% of Social Security recipients will not pay federal taxes on their benefits. That is a significant shift. For seniors who rely primarily or entirely on Social Security, this change means more of your monthly check stays in your pocket. No new forms, no special applications, just less taken out. However, it's important to understand the full picture. About 20% of recipients will still owe taxes on a portion of their Social Security benefits. This usually applies to people who have other sources of income, such as pensions, large retirement withdrawals, rental income, or investment earnings that push them above certain thresholds. So this is not a universal exemption, but for the majority of seniors living on fixed income, it is real financial relief. This change matters because it directly increases take-home income without waiting for COLA adjustments or new legislation. It also highlights an important point. While many proposals face uncertainty, some changes are already taking effect. In the next part, we'll look at how these updates affect specific groups, including retirees, people with disabilities, veterans, caregivers, and families, and why understanding your category matters. How these changes affect retirees, disabled Americans, and veterans. So far, we've talked about payment dates, COLA increases, and tax changes in general terms. Now let's slow down and look at how these updates affect different groups, because not everyone experiences Social Security the same way. For retirees, especially those living primarily on Social Security, the combination of the December payment schedule, the January COLA increase, and the reduced tax burden means slightly more stability heading into the new year. While the 2.8% increase is modest, the fact that most retirees will no longer pay taxes on their benefits helps preserve more of that income. For people living with disabilities, including those receiving SSDI or SSI, timing matters just as much as the amount. Medical expenses, therapy, and daily care costs don't pause for holidays. Knowing exactly when payments arrive and understanding that early payments are not extra money helps prevent budgeting shortfalls in January. For veterans who receive a mix of VA benefits and Social Security, these updates also matter. While VA benefits follow a different system, Social Security payments still play a major role in monthly income. The tax changes mean that Social Security benefits for many veterans will now go further, especially for those without significant additional income. There are also caregivers and parents, particularly mothers caring for disabled children who depend on survivor or disability-related benefits. For these households, predictability is critical. A clear understanding of payment dates and confirmed changes reduces stress during an already demanding time. The key takeaway is this: the rules may be the same, but the impact is personal. In the next part, we'll address one of the biggest questions still generating headlines, the proposed $2,000 stimulus-style payment, and explain what is known, what is uncertain, and what seniors should realistically expect. The $2,000 stimulus proposal: what we know and what we don't. One topic continues to generate the most questions and the most confusion: the proposed $2,000 stimulus-style payment. Let's be clear and precise about what we actually know. Right now, there is no approved $2,000 check. No law has passed. No payments have been scheduled. Anyone claiming otherwise is getting ahead of the facts. What does exist is a proposal that has been discussed publicly by members of the administration and economic advisors. According to the information shared so far, the proposal would be limited to individuals earning $100,000 per year or less. Here's why this matters for seniors. If you receive Social Security retirement benefits, SSI, SSDI, VA benefits, survivor benefits, or spousal benefits, your annual income is almost always well below $100,000. That means you would qualify if the proposal were ever approved, but that "if" is doing a lot of work. There is still no confirmed timeline. Some officials have suggested that, if approved, payments could go out during the first 3 months of 2026, possibly around February or March. But these are estimates, not guarantees. That's why the most important advice right now is simple. Do not budget for money that has not been approved. Do not make financial decisions based on proposals. Hope is reasonable. Planning on unconfirmed money is not. In the next part, we'll focus on what you can do right now to be ready, checking deposit information, updating records, and avoiding the most common mistakes during periods of uncertainty. What to do now? Preparing without panic. With so many headlines, proposals, and shifting dates, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. So let's focus on what actually matters right now. There are a few simple steps every Social Security recipient should take, not out of fear, but out of preparation. First, check your direct deposit information. If your benefits are deposited into a bank account, make sure the Social Security Administration has your current and correct banking details. If you've changed banks, closed an account, or switched financial institutions recently, this is especially important. One outdated number can delay a payment when you need it most. Second, if you still receive paper checks, confirm that your mailing address is accurate. Holiday mail delays are common, and even small address errors can cause checks to be returned or lost. If possible, consider switching to direct deposit for faster and more reliable payments. Third, mark the key dates on your calendar. December 24th for certain Social Security recipients, December 31st for SSI recipients receiving January's payment early. Knowing these dates ahead of time prevents unnecessary worry when deposits arrive earlier or later than expected. Finally, plan your budget carefully. If you receive an early payment at the end of December, remember that money must last through January. It is not extra income. Prioritize essentials first: housing, utilities, food, and medications. Preparation is not panic. In the next part, we'll talk about budgeting through early payments and how to avoid the most common mistakes seniors make when checks arrive earlier than usual. Budgeting through early payments, avoiding the January shortfall. When a Social Security or SSI payment arrives early, it can feel like a small relief. But if you're not careful, that early deposit can create a problem later. This happens most often with SSI recipients who receive their January payment on December 31st. Seeing that extra money in December can make it tempting to spend more than usual, especially during the holidays. Here's the key thing to remember: that December 31st payment is not extra income. It is money meant to last you through all of January. If it's spent too quickly, January can feel much longer and much harder than expected. The safest approach is to mentally separate that early payment from December expenses. As soon as it arrives, prioritize the essentials: rent or housing costs, utilities, groceries, prescriptions, and medical needs. If possible, set aside what you need for these basics first before spending on anything else. Another helpful strategy is to write down a simple January budget. It doesn't need to be complicated. Just outline what you must pay each week and make sure the early payment stretches across the entire month. This kind of planning is not about restriction, it's about stability. Early payments are designed to help you, not hurt you, but they only work in your favor if you recognize them for what they are. In the next part, we'll step back and talk about emotional stress and uncertainty and how seniors can stay grounded when headlines, proposals, and payment changes all collide at once. Managing stress. During uncertain times, staying focused on what's real. When payments shift, headlines multiply, and proposals flood the news, it's normal for stress to creep in, especially if you rely on Social Security to meet basic needs. But this is where focus matters most. Right now, there are 3 different types of information circulating at the same time: confirmed payments with specific dates, scheduled increases, like the 2.8% COLA, and proposals that may or may not ever become reality. The mistake many seniors make is treating all 3 as equally certain. They are not. Stress often comes from planning around money that hasn't been approved yet, while overlooking what has already been confirmed. So here's the grounding principle: anchor your expectations to what is real and scheduled. Your December 24th or December 31st payment is real. The January COLA increase is real. The change in how many seniors are taxed on benefits is real. Proposals, whether it's a $200 monthly boost or a $2,000 stimulus, are ideas, not income. That doesn't mean you ignore them. It means you don't let them control your decisions. Another helpful step is limiting how much news you consume. Constant updates can amplify anxiety without adding clarity. Choose 1 or 2 reliable sources, check in periodically, and avoid reacting to every headline. Staying informed should bring confidence, not worry. In the next part, we'll bring everything together and explain how to plan the next few months realistically, balancing confirmed income with cautious optimism about what may come later. Planning ahead. What the next few months likely look like. As we look beyond the end of December and into early 2026, the most important thing seniors can do is plan realistically. The next few months will likely include a mix of stability and uncertainty, and understanding the difference helps you stay in control. What is very likely is this. Your regular Social Security, SSDI, or SSI payments will continue on their normal schedules after January. The 2.8% COLA increase will remain in place throughout the year, providing a small but steady adjustment to your monthly income. The recent changes around taxation of Social Security benefits will also continue to benefit most recipients, allowing more of your check to stay with you rather than being withheld. What is less certain are the proposals still being discussed. The temporary $200 monthly increase faces strong political resistance. The proposed $2,000 stimulus-style payment has not been approved and has no guaranteed timeline. These ideas may continue to appear in the news, especially as lawmakers debate broader economic issues. But until something is passed and signed into law, they should remain outside your financial plan. The healthiest approach is balance. Plan your budget based on what you already receive. Leave room for hope, but not dependence, on future proposals. That way, if additional relief ever does arrive, it becomes a bonus, not a necessity. In the final part, we'll bring everything together and leave you with a clear bottom line, what to remember, what to ignore, and how to move forward with confidence. The bottom line, focus on what's confirmed, not the noise. As we close this full breakdown, one message matters more than anything else. Focus on what is confirmed, not the noise. Right now, there is a lot happening at once. Payments are arriving on different dates. January checks are being sent early for some people. A 2.8% COLA increase is taking effect, and at the same time, proposals and headlines are creating uncertainty. For seniors living on fixed income, this can feel overwhelming, but when you step back and separate facts from speculation, clarity returns. What is confirmed is this. If you were born between the 21st and 31st, your December Social Security payment arrives on December 24th. If you receive SSI, your January payment arrives early on December 31st, including the COLA increase. Your monthly benefit amount will be slightly higher starting in January. And for most recipients, changes to Social Security taxation mean more of your check stays with you. What is not confirmed are proposals. The $200 monthly increase has not been approved. The $2,000 stimulus-style payment remains an idea, not income. Hope is reasonable. Planning your budget around unapproved money is not. The strongest position any senior can take right now is calm preparation. Know your dates, understand your amounts, budget based on what you have, not what might come later. That approach protects your stability, your peace of mind, and your independence, no matter what headlines appear next. Thank you for staying informed and taking the time to understand the facts clearly and calmly.